Hey, it's JJ here with the Art of Value. So this is kind of part two of Pinduoduo. Yesterday I was going through some of their earnings, the recent earnings call. I'm going to go through the call today because I wrote some notes on the call. I think it's really good if you're an investor in a company, you should listen to the earnings call every quarter. It's usually about an hour or less. And specifically the first part's usually blah, 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 a lot you can get from their earnings presentation and their press release or whatever. Um, but to listen to the call, you kind of get either if there's excitement in their voice or if there's real changes, especially the Q&A, section at the end. Really, people and analysts sometimes ask good questions. Most of the time, they don't. But it's good to hear what the company has to say, often they repeat themselves. But it's good to do that. So I'm going to go through the call today. I wrote some notes of Pinduoduo. If you want to hear more about the company, description of the company, what they do, and they're going through a bit of their presentation, go back to the episode yesterday, excuse me. And so this is it. They reported on the 27th of May, so just a few days ago. And as I said, I'm an investor in this. It's currently down 49%. So it's important to me to work out, do I want to stick with this? Do I want to sell at a deep discount? Am I in for the long haul? I'm a reluctant seller, so I'm holding on to it. I did notice, as I said yesterday, that one of the investors I respected a lot, Li Lu, sold the company, but he only had like 1% position in it. So the conference call, the chairman and CEO, Chen Li, gave remarks, and what he had to say was that the user growth will inevitably slow down in coming years because they're shifting focus from gaining new users to serving existing user base better. And the agriculture is front and center of their changing strategy. They're focused on making long-term investment in agriculture and promoting digital inclusion. So the agricultural, they want it to be responsive, sustainable, and meet the needs of our different stakeholders, working out how to create more value for customers and society. So that's an important point too for society. He expressed thanks to the producers, consumers, meaning customers, merchants, and other partners for continued support. So one thing that comes to mind that of a lot of people who I think look at China or don't like investing, don't want to invest in China, or who do, is that what came to my mind is thanking partners, thanking and talking about the good for society. Now, so this is the Chinese government. There's been one of the reasons that a lot of the tech stocks have declined in price a lot is because of the perceived crackdown on companies and the wealth disparity of these companies growing so fast, because this company has been hyper growth since 2015, I think. They've just had huge hyper growth. So they're sort of changing focus to be the good of society, and I think that reflects the focus of the government, also their plan to sort of help have a beneficial for all. So he goes on to say PDD is in a position to serve millions of farmers and connect them to the digital economy. We help farmers to promote produce to more consumers across the country, and high quality produce at a low cost. So that's what they're aiming at. I mentioned yesterday how this company's been sometimes described as a cross between Costco and Disney and something else which I can't remember, but Disney for the gaming aspect and fun. So it's fun. You'll see that the tagline that they had there that I had up. Together, more savings, more fun. So they have a fun mobile app, so it's group buying as well. Could say Groupon, but it's not like Groupon at all. So they're focused on agri-tech, applying tech to solve real-world problems. And he gave the example of tomatoes, the doubling the yield to traditional farming techniques, making agriculture better through tech. Digital tech in agriculture will unlock efficiencies and benefit society. There we go, benefiting society again. And so the focus is agriculture and tech. They sell different things, but they're aiming to focus on produce, fresh produce really, and put a lot of R&D into that rather than focusing on hyper growth. So they talk about that for a long time. They're in it for the long game, for long-term success. They started last year transitioning from hyper growth to more measured development, from sales and marketing to more research and development. So I have a cat here who's climbing on me. Sorry, tech team. So the tech team is over 5,600 people, and which is 60% of the total workforce, and they're continuing to step up in-house capabilities from that point of view. And they're putting people first and benefiting all. There we go, benefiting all again. Q&A. So this is the Q&A session where people get to ask questions, and this was quite long, partly because they translate, so it's in two different languages. I mean, they've got an ADR in the US, so it's definitely English as part of it. Focusing on tech plus agriculture in order to pursue long-term high-quality growth. So they are talking long-term, which is a good sign. It takes time for results to bear fruit, and our growth rate might be affected. Investors should not expect us to continue to deliver high growth. Focus is also on serving existing customers. So they said that multiple times, that investors should not expect us to continue to deliver high growth. Sickness up there. We remain committed to creating long-term value. So, there's nothing wrong with that. That's good. It's good if you think. I mean, Jeff Bezos always said that. Think about the long term, where some investors and analysts are just thinking short term, quarter to quarter. From outside, we may seem to be too conservative or aggressive at times. We are about long-term value. What you need to think is what we are doing, creating value for the long term. So this is, it's all good, I think. Chinese e-commerce still has a lot of potential and will continue to develop. New formats and new platforms will have a positive impact on consumers and the industry. So they're talking about possible competition there, actually, but really they are still one of the big players, and I think unlikely to be. They're just unlikely to be surpassed, I think, but we don't know. But we need to keep in mind that companies with wide moats often say that they have a lot of competition, like Google, but really they don't. But there is competition there. So their differentiation they've talked about is agriculture, and they're moving more towards agricultural tech and agriculture rather than lots of different. They're an e-commerce company that sells lots of things, but their focus is on agriculture. We started with it, and now we're developing it. So they talked about the 10 billion agriculture initiative, advancement of ag tech R&D, resources going to where they're needed most, technology empowering agriculture. Our strategy is long-term, and our investments in agriculture are only at an early stage. So they're investing a lot in ag tech and agriculture to help society and help a lot of farmers becoming digital, access to the digital economy. So, question: active buyers and MAUs, monthly active users, both seeing accelerated sequential growth. Can you share the driver behind this? So they did have, saying you shouldn't expect hyper growth, but they still have growth. Understand we shouldn't expect, and the questioner said we don't understand we shouldn't expect fast growth. So the answer: in user numbers, we have a high base, which has been increasing, but long-term trend would be slower growth. We now need to improve the 880 million customer experience and trust with them, and mind share in us. So they kind of avoid the question about growth at all. And you could say that's because they really do want to focus on lower growth, or you could say that for this to be in line with the government plans for the future and to benefiting all of society without this big wealth disparity with tech companies, for instance. So they talked about strategic shift, investing in tech, finding opportunities to improve ourselves and serve our users better. They repeat these things over and over. Throughout our efforts, we have created value for customers through agricultural efforts. It's possible our efforts, especially in tech, will show up in our financial results in time, they said. So really it's a focus from sales and marketing to R&D, but that is a long-term, and it will show up in the financial results eventually, is what they're saying. Changing from sales and marketing to R&D. There we go. When can we expect this to be finished? Somebody answered. So they said that sales and marketing fell 14% from year on year, and R&D increased by 20% year on year. So that's their kind of the reflection of the changing focus. We need to explore how better to serve our customers, they say again. This is why it's good to listen to the earnings call, because you really get their emphasis on what they're saying, what they want to get across, and it's your choice whether to actually believe them or not in some cases. But if we trust management, we know they know what they're doing. COVID impact on results for Q1. Somebody asked about that. One area we need to be more resilient, how we can meet customer needs. I mean, the results seem pretty good for, they had lockdowns in China and it was difficult, but still, they came out with, it wasn't really heavily impacted, let's say that. PDD is an e-commerce company that focuses on essential needs of our customers, creating value for customers and fulfilling our social responsibilities. There we go again. Examples. In Shanghai, we launched a 48-hour supply of packages through aggregating ordering, striving to meet the needs of as many people as possible. So they're talking, that's really similar to what Amazon's doing in the US, isn't it? And, improving delivery times to as many people as possible. And so that benefits the company, but talking about and benefiting the most number of people in society as well. Interesting change of focus from the US to China there in terms of that. Revenue growth and take rates question. Investors should not expect ultra high growth. There we go again. Future growth, focus more on agriculture and tech in order to pursue long-term high quality development. So they're hitting these main points all the time with every question, really, about don't expect high growth, and we're in it for the long term. Efficiency and waste improvement in agriculture, for example. Digital inclusion for farmers too. Creating long-term value. So that's, when they talk about digital inclusion for farmers, lifting a lot of poor farmers out of poverty, many as possible, to a lot of small farmers. So these points are made again and again. Fortunate to have nearly 870 million customers. Every time I read that number, it's incredible. 870 million customers. If you think about how many, there are 320 million people in the US, for instance. I mean, it's astonishing. Need to address their changing needs. Many different platforms entering e-commerce. Need to learn from them and improve our platform. Keep up with market development. So they've got their eyes on competition, but there's no reason why they couldn't make investments in, if they're allowed to, in some new developments as well of other companies. We don't recommend customers use one quarter of results to assess the company. Results may vary with our new strategy, but going for long-term value. And they're talking about zero commission on agricultural products. This will affect our take rates. As our platform provides more value, our financial results should improve long term. This is our strategic direction. So there we go. So we did get some really clear points coming through there about not expecting hyper growth, and that's one of the reasons. Could be one of the reasons we could say that the share price has come down when you think, thinking of the future. As I said, I'm down. It went up after these results came out. The share price went up 15% in one day, bang. After being, a lot of these Chinese tech companies have been beaten way down before the US ones were too. And but I'm okay with what's going on there. So I'm, as I said, a reluctant seller. I'm down 49%, but could it go up 100% reasonably quickly over a few years? Yes, it could. It's been considering how beaten down it's gone. But anyway, it's not financial advice. I'm just going through results. This is what I would actually do, so I'm sharing it as I go through it. Just I wrote the notes and I'm reading through them, and this is helpful to me and maybe hopefully to anybody out there. But not investment advice. So if you like this, found any value in this video, like and subscribe, and join me on Twitter at The Art of Value. Of course, the video is on YouTube and on Spotify video and audio on other platforms. Okay, thanks. See you next time.